In ancient Polynesia, the demigod Maui loved his family and sister Hina, but not Hina's husband. Maui had enough and stretched his brother-in-law's nose, ears, and legs, making him a dog with the animal's traits and intelligence. Hina cried and begged Maui to change him back. Maui refused. Hina mourned, then went to the cliffs and jumped. She awoke in a far-off land and met a handsome man. He was the Polynesian god of fish, Tinirau, and this is Legends from the Pacific. Aloha, and thank you for joining us. This is Legends from the Pacific, episode 106, the Polynesian god of fish, Tinirau. I am Kamuela Kaneshiro, a native Hawaiian professional writer, speaker, and Comic-Con panelist with extensive film and television experience. I've studied mythology, I've encountered unusual things, and I'm a geek. You can support us by getting 2 or 3 of your friends to listen to our show. This simple request goes a long way in helping us grow our show. And a big mahalo nui loa to our Patreon members, whose support keeps our show going. And a big mahalo nui loa to you, listening to us on Amazon Music or the Audible app. Later in this episode, your featured song in Hawaiian word, but first, let me share with you Tinirau. As usual, I apologize for any mispronounced names or words, and appreciate your understanding. Tinirau is known throughout Polynesia. For the record, the islands of Polynesia differ from the islands of Melanesia and Micronesia, which have different gods. Tinirau is also known as Sinirau and Tingirau. You, being a longtime listener, may know Tinirau's Hawaiian name. Just replace the T and R with a K and L, and Tinirau becomes Kini Lau. He's also been called the Great Engulfer because his waves could easily consume canoes, and he once caused a great flood that lasted 1 day and night, but saved 2 mortal families. While he is known throughout Polynesia, this also complicates his origins. Some say his mother was a goddess, and he was born from a piece of her flesh in the spiritual world of Aiki or Miru. Tinirau's father is the sea god, while Tinirau is the guardian and protector of fish. Though it should be noted, some cultures consider him a sea god. Just remember there can be many sea gods who report to a major sea god, which for the Hawaiians was Ku, as mentioned in our previous episode. Tinirau is a shapeshifter, but his favored ocean forms are a whale or shark. His favorite sky form is the magnificent frigate bird. And on land, he is a handsome and charming man. Southern Polynesian cultures believe he lives on the New Zealand island Motutapu. His mood reflects the ocean, meaning he could be calm and peaceful, but violent and abusive. Because of this, Tahitians used to call him Two-Faced Tinirau. Going further into his dual nature, some cultures believe his body was split, with his right side being human and his left is a fish. Hina married Tinirau, but they were separated, and she needed to find a way back to his distant island. A shark pitied her and offered a ride. She grabbed some provisions and rowed the shark towards the horizon. The shark expertly maneuvered through the ocean, but while the water kept Hina's lower half cool, the blaring sun and salt air dried her mouth. She grabbed a coconut, but realized nothing could open it. The shark offered his fin. Hina used it and enjoyed the sweet coconut milk. The journey was longer than Hina thought, and soon, Hina needed to relieve herself. She didn't think the shark would notice. However, it did, and was very upset. Hina wanted another coconut, but the shark refused her his fin. Her lips were chapped, and she felt faint. She lifted a coconut and slammed it against the shark's head. The shark was furious. It submerged and left. Hina treaded water. No land was on the horizon. Her limbs tired, and she prayed. A massive fin surfaced as a megalodon took Hina's side. Hina, I pity you, even though you disrespected my shark brother. I'm sorry to all sharks, Hina said. I had no idea the way was so long. Please accept my apology. The megalodon's eyes glowed, and it took Hina to Tinirau in moments. Many believe Hina's actions caused shark meat to taste like urine, so a lot has to be done to rid the meat of this taste. And Hina, hitting the shark with the coconut, flattened its head, making it a hammerhead. When Tinirau had a son, he sought the most skilled priest for his baptism. He retrieved a Maori priest. Once the baptism was completed, Tinirau summoned his favored whale, gave some of its meat to the priest as payment, and presented an amazing canoe to return the priest. The priest asked if he could ride the whale back home. Tinirau hesitated, then nodded. The whale can take you offshore. There you'll need to swim in. The priest agreed and disembarked. Nearing his village, some of his people dropped what they were carrying and wiped their eyes. Yes, a man was riding a massive whale. The priest called to them. Their eyes widened as they recognized him. Waves pushed the whale towards the beach. The animal shook. The priest pushed the whale closer. He yelled to gather their people. Several villagers gathered on the beach. The whale thrashed. The priest directed it to the beach. Then the whale ran aground beside the villagers. The priest cursed himself for not realizing how fast the whale was. His villagers flooded him with questions. He presented its meat gifted to him, then remembered it came from the whale. They killed the whale and cooked it to celebrate their holy man's return. The smell of its cooked meat reached Tinirau. He was outraged and sent a goddess and several women to retrieve the priest. They didn't know what the priest looked like and entertained the village until they found him. The priest was taken to Tinirau and killed for disobeying a god. Today, our closing story reflects the Maori's relationship with whales. Maoris respect them as guardians and a food source when beached. Going back to our second story, in 1987, the Cook Islands printed a $3 bill with Hina riding a shark. If you like what you heard, please give us a rating and write a review. I'd really appreciate it. Our theme song is Mystery by Tavana, courtesy of High Sessions. Sound effects are by Sound Effects Factory. Our music coordinator is Matt Duffy, aka DJ TripleBypass. Links and show notes can be found on our website, legendsfromthepacific.com, including a link to your featured song, which is Hano Hano Haiku by Ke'au Ho'u, courtesy of High Sessions. Legends from the Pacific was written, produced, and edited by me, Kamuela Kaneshiro. I also wrote our original stories. Your featured Hawaiian word is kohola. Kohola means humpback whale. An example of kohola is kohola, migrate past Hawaii from November to January. Once again, kohola is Hawaiian for humpback whale. You might get lucky and see them after January, but April or May is the season's tail end. Get it? Tail? And this is the end of our episode. Thank you once again for listening. Mahalo and a hui ho!